I would like to give a shout out to KEPSA. KEPSA is Kenyans in IT in North America. When we were starting out, we didn't know where to start. So we started researching on some of the partners that we could engage in for skilling. And we found an interesting group of Kenyans in America called KEPSA. And we reached out to a few who agreed to help us and mentor us. And that's how we were able to start creating our team and now skilling more people. So now through the initiative that has been created, the Kenya AI Skilling Alliance, the goal is what more can we be able to do? What more skills can help take our country to the next level? Because if you look at Kenya, many people don't know that most of the technology, AI technology across the world has been trained in Kenya. Some of the big self-driving vehicle companies, I cannot mention them by name. Some of the big large language models that we famously use have been trained here in Kenya. But what is left for Kenya? We just have our youth earning. Yeah, we export all our skills. So we have a very rich knowledge base here in Kenya. We have very skilled youth. So the work of the Alliance is to be able to, how do we tap into these skills? All the way from bringing the right form of knowledge to them, because there's a lot of, right now there's a lot of materials around AI that is now, everyone is rushing to teach AI their style, but looking from the angle of a single source of truth, not really a single source of truth, but something that has been verified with the right partners that we can now say this is good enough for people to consume, and these courses are what are recommended. So Microsoft and ILO and KEPSA, the focus is one, bring that knowledge base, and then two, how do we tap onto the opportunities? We are pushing to be one, a tech-savvy country, but if you look at our education sector, how many schools have a computer lab? How many schools have even a technology program that is running? So you'd find that very few institutions have invested in any form of technology training. So one, we would want to see, can the government create a policy on how technology will penetrate to the lowest level of education.
Brought to you by CH Studios, creating content that connects.
Hello. Trust you've been well and doing great wherever you're watching us from. Welcome to yet another episode of the Exchange Podcast. Today, it's all about youth and jobs. And in the last conversation, we also brought in a concept of AI, but that was in a HR perspective. Today, we are going all about AI. And I know that this is a conversation that is cross-cutting all sectors. But sometimes I feel like the technicality of AI is quite complicated for a lot of our audience. And so today we want to demystify all the information, all the technical aspects of AI, and especially for the audience that is, sometimes you feel like they cannot use AI. And my guest was telling me earlier about how much they're reaching people in terms of getting the information, training, and accessibility of AI, all the way to the 47 counties, even to Mamambogas. So that is the kind of audience that we are trying to talk about today, the youth, the people who sometimes we think cannot benefit or are not benefiting from AI. And my guest all the way from Nakuru, Samuel, is going to help us go through this conversation, demystify what they are doing in terms of, taking this information and breaking it down in terms of how they can benefit the people at the very local levels with AI hubs. He will tell us a little bit about himself, but I want to appreciate KEPSA, the Kenya AI Skilling Alliance, for supporting this episode. And remember, this is a KEPSA production in partnership with CH Studios here in Westlands. And they always say, creating content that connects. Karibu sana, Samuel.
Thank you.
Yeah, please tell us more about yourself.
Yeah, so a little more about myself. I'm Samuel Kioya. Currently, I'm serving as the technical director at Lisha Labs, but I also engage with several other organizations. I also founded a school called Midif Institute. I also am a passionate farmer. It's also good for me to mention that I'm happily married.
Important.
Yeah. So my background in terms of education, I studied Bachelor of Business Information Technology in Strathmore. I also did a certification in cybersecurity. I'm one of the kind of people who are very passionate about helping youth and seeing how I can help as many youth as I can. I've been called to disciple to youth through technology, and that's what I do.
I haven't met a techie farmer before.
Yeah.
You're the first one.
Yeah.
I wonder whether technology applies in your farm as well.
I just started farming as a passion because when you've had so we work very long hours. We are a 24-hour company. And when you've been through a lot of strain during the week, I found farming to me was a mode of release. And it's also very satisfying. So my free time, my weekends, I would go and spend them in the farm. I also started doing a small study on how I can bring about precision agriculture and help even bring more technology into farming. So that's also something that we're doing with several of our partners.
You have children?
No, I
Not
don't
yet.
have children. Yeah, but I'm planning to.
Yeah. I can imagine that they'll be joining you in all of those, the techie part, the farming part. Don't leave them behind.
I
It sounds a
can't
lot
leave
of
them.
fun.
Yeah, it
like
is.
a lot of fun. Super. And at Lish Hub, based in Nakuru, why Nakuru?
Why Nakuru? You always ask people back, why not Nakuru?
Why not Nakuru?
I started my tech career in Nairobi. I used to work for a fintech company. And when I was also very active in building some of the tech ecosystems here in Nairobi. So supporting entrepreneurs, working with partners like the Chamber of Commerce. And I started thinking, because Nakuru is home, what can I also do back at home? So I always had the idea of doing something around a tech ecosystem back at Nakuru. And not just Nakuru. Nakuru was the starting point. My goal was to see how Kenya, every county can be involved. So I was just saying Nakuru would also be like a benchmarking to see how possible it is to have a tech ecosystem outside Nairobi. So that's how I worked with a couple of partners who I'm with, our board. And that's how Lisha Lab started in Nakuru.
Okay. Your day-to-day, life at work, you say you're a 24/7 company. How does that look like for you?
How does that look like for me? Honestly, to begin with, it was very draining because I used to work close to almost 20 hours a day. Yeah, so you'd find we are there from 4 a.m. to 11 p.m., mainly from a leadership perspective. That takes a lot of toll, but right now things have become much more easier because the team is there. We have a lot more people who are able to support in different levels. So now more flexible to be able even to move around and just focus on partners' engagement. And it is still demanding from an oversight perspective. But when you have the right people in the right place, it makes it much easier. Yeah. So now things are running smoothly. And we've also seen a point where there's been a lot of leadership growth from our team. Yeah.
And it happens, and especially when you're a company that is starting, you put in a lot of hours and a lot of effort. But as you grow, the way you're saying, the stability, you start seeing the fruits of those hours that you put in.
Yes.
And I'm super happy for you and your team. So if you can dive deep into what the lab does. Education, training, ensuring that the youth and all the other beneficiaries have access. You said across the 47 counties, all the way to the refugee camps. You mentioned that you just came from Dadaab. Please, like for someone who's learning about you for the first time, what does Lish AI Labs, do, and what do those interactions look like?
Yeah. So Lisha Labs, basically we cover the whole AI value chain, whereby we have specialized in both educating and training on the AI skills, all the way from the basic level, which is matters to do with data, all the way to the AI engineers. And when we were starting back in late 2019, we realized that there is no AI penetration in Kenya, artificial intelligence, for the crowd to be a part of it. So I think I can just start by breaking down what AI is for our viewers. And I'll just put it in a very simple terms. Artificial, which basically means man-made. And intelligence means the knowledge on how to do something. So you're transferring the knowledge from the human being to a machine to be able to perform a specific task that a human could do. So this can be like we've seen ChatGPT do a lot of, it does a lot of thinking and process documents and all that. We are able also to see other tools that are able to edit videos and all these other things. So now that's what AI is doing. I would like to give a shout out to KEPSA. KEPSA is Kenyans in IT in North America. When we were starting out, we didn't know where to start. So we started researching on some of the partners that we could engage in for skilling. And we found an interesting group of Kenyans in America called KEPSA. And we reached out to a few who agreed to help us and mentor us. And that's how we were able to start creating our team and now skilling more people. We still walk the path together even in terms of mentorship. And they actually are running something that they call it Bring It Back Home. So how can the Kenyans in diaspora bring something back home, whether it's the knowledge, whether it's the tools and all that, so that we can also be empowered. So our goal is to be able to ensure that Kenya and Africa is not left behind when it comes to the AI race, because what you're seeing right now, AI is basically just at the beginning. We've barely scratched the surface. We are seeing companies like DeepSeek coming from nowhere and becoming one. I mean, 5 years ago, DeepSeek was not even a name. But right now, you can see they're sitting on the table with the big boys. So this gives Africa an opportunity to also be part of this race and have a say on the table. So what we've been doing is we've basically been working with a lot of partners. So this is the government. We worked with the government to create hubs across the county. We are one of the partners under the Jitume program, where over 116 labs were created in the country. And I know they are being scaled to 350. So we also worked with the government to create the first AI curriculum with the Kenya School of TVET, previously known as Kenya Teachers Training College. And that's how we were able to roll out the first batch of training. We also started working with a lot of development partners. These are NGOs, foundations, to be able to start training bring these trainings to the grassroots. So these are different counties like Samburu, Garissa, Mombasa, Kilifi, all over, even in Kakuma and Dadaab. Our angle is to be as inclusive as possible. We did start by skilling the youth mainly. Then we quickly transitioned to also adding persons with disability. We also added an angle for refugees and host communities. And that is what we are doing with several of our partners in Kakuma and Garissa, which Kakuma being the refugee model of the world, there's a lot of learnings that are being carried out there so that they can also see what can be done in the other camps. So that we can bring meaningful employment and sort of ethical angles to it, whether it's ethical AI, ethical skills, and so on and so forth. Whenever people hear online, mainly people think it's scamming. When people hear AI, they think this is just too complex. So we've been trying to break AI down to the very basic level. And up until last year, we started engaging people in different groups. Last year, we engaged the small entrepreneurs, the micro enterprises. These are the mama mboga, the people with the kiosks, and so on and so forth. And we got a very interesting testimony whereby one of the ladies who has a kibanda, she uses now ChatGPT to train train on good recipes for different products. So now she told us that all her recipes are becoming so dynamic, so sweet.
Yeah.
She's having her demand from her shop has actually just grown much further because even when she now wants to do a new product, she's able to Google the right ingredients and also get the basic ingredients based on the Kenyan market. So you can see that AI is not for the tech gurus only. It can also be scaled down to a very basic level. We've also been helping different segments like the boda riders. How can AI impact you in your field if you're an SME? We've seen Mama Mboga engaging the Meta Business Suite and starting to bring in more business through WhatsApp, Facebook, and all that. So you're seeing now, even with the integration of Meta AI, some of them are even ending up having more business than they can handle because AI is really helping them scale it at a very rapid pace. So that's what we're able to do. We cover the whole chain, as I had mentioned, from the basic skills all the way to the advanced. So when I talk about a brief example of some of the advanced, I was just coming from Dadaab, but there is one case back in Kakuma, some young people who we had skilled to be able to roll out software solutions around Kakuma. And we found that a group of young men, they made an online ordering app for food in Kakuma, within the refugee setups. Because most of the hotels within the refugee setup are not, some are not well documented. So meaning in Nairobi, you can look at Google Maps and you'll see eateries, but there you won't know which hotel is where. So they kept one that uses also AI to be able to filter maybe the kind of cuisine that you'd like. So if you want Ethiopian food, it will give you the restaurants that have Ethiopian food. You can order, you can place your order and tell it where you are, and someone will be able to, once the order is ready, they'll call you and they bring it. So we were just happy to see that this local application of AI and technology is really working in a way that it has been decentralized, whereby these people won't need to bring Glovo or all these other apps all the way there. They can see the problem from their own context and find a workaround around that. Yeah.
I'm very impressed because what you're doing is finding gaps and finding markets and communities that have otherwise not been previously incorporated and considered when it comes to technology adoption, but also in terms of the skilling and scaling. Because I think there's a time, for instance, within the refugee communities, what was the buzz was about taking the technology to them, taking the connection to them, the internet connection to them, setting up cybers so that they are able to even access online works. But now hearing you is an admission of that this is going to the next level now. We are not only talking about technology penetration, internet penetration, device penetration in those communities and those areas. It's also now helping them to use them for the benefit of their communities and finding solutions that are fit for the context that they are in. But also hearing the stories of the Mama Mbogas, like I mentioned in the beginning, when we think, a lot of us, when we think about AI, we think about the complexities that come with it. There was a time I was telling my previous guest that first time I thought about how AI would apply to my life, I thought that is impossible because I am not a techie, so I thought it was all about coding and all that. But there is so much more that we need to actually demystify and help the audience understand how this can apply to them, even in the very basic context. So much more that you can now use AI to as your personal finance planner. as your, like you have mentioned, even as your personal chef,
Yeah.
giving you all the recipes that that you need. But now hearing that someone is actually taking that and commercializing it to the benefit of their business growth is so impressive. So great work that you, and I can't wait to hear more. But there's one aspect that you've also brought up that is quite interesting as well. But we are seeing a lot of countries and a lot of governments now bring in repatriation programs for the diaspora community. But a lot of that has always been around justice programs, about financial programs, but I haven't heard a lot about AI. So quite impressive also with your partners from North America on that front. I think we have a lot of expertise and knowledge within our diaspora communities that could also, help us, empower our youth and our communities back home. Yeah, impressive. So in terms of your involvement with KEPSA, and I mentioned KEPSA, the Kenya AI Skilling Alliance, supported by Microsoft and ILO. Where do you come in?
So our relationship with the KEPSA goes a long way back. When we were implementing the Jitume program, we worked also very closely with the KEPSA. And it's also good for me to mention, at the beginning, we started with a lot of entry-level jobs. So these are skills that youths could easily learn within 3 to 6 months. So you're speaking of people, as long as you can use a smartphone, you can easily be trained in some of these skills. So we had, at the time we did a training of over 12,000 youths across Kenya. We had over around 8,000 of them earning from the digital jobs, but we saw this is not enough. So now through the initiative that has been created, the Kenya AI Skilling Alliance, the goal is what more can we be able to do? What more skills can help take our country to the next level? Because if you look at Kenya, many people don't know that most of the technology, AI technology across the world has been trained in Kenya. Some of the big self-driving vehicle companies, I cannot mention them by name, some of the big large language models that we famously use have been trained here in Kenya. But what is left for Kenya? We just have our youth earning.
All of it,
we export all our skills. So we have a very rich knowledge base here in Kenya. We have very skilled youth. So the work of the Alliance is to be able to, how do we tap into these skills? All the way from bringing the right form of knowledge to them, because there's a lot of, right now there's a lot of materials around AI that is now, everyone is rushing to teach AI their style, but looking from the angle of a single source of truth, not really a single source of truth, but something that has been verified with the right partners that we can now say this is good enough for people to consume, and these courses are what are recommended. So Microsoft and ILO and KEPSA, the focus is one, bring that knowledge base, and then two, how do we tap onto the opportunities? So we look at the opportunities from two main angles. The first one is jobs. So there are a lot of jobs that are around the AI value chain. So these are basic jobs from the data processors, the people who handle all the AI data, the machine learning, all the way to the AI engineers who now implement and roll out the complex frameworks and ensure that the end results is working. So if you look at that value chain, how can we be able to cover all this locally? Because if we are not able to do this, we are looking at a future where the big tech companies or a lot of foreign companies will come, create the solutions for our market, and then charge us in dollars. And then it will become very impossible for the common mananchi to benefit from any of the solutions that have been made. And already we are in that state. If you look at most of the softwares that we subscribe to in our phone, how many people can really afford the rates that we pay? Not many. So taking this AI, it takes such initiatives because KEPSA has quite a number of partners across Kenya. How do we take, first of all, these solutions to the grassroots? how do we take them to the communities? Because the communities are the ones who know the problems they're facing, the solutions they need. And then let's empower the communities enough to be able now to come up with their own solutions, to have the skill levels that are required, so that even as we are talking with different countries, we for a very long time, if you look at the labor that is being exported from Kenya, we've really been going for the low-level jobs. And right now, this gives us a chance to be able to negotiate for good quality jobs because we have the manpower, we have the skills, and we have the infrastructure. I can attest that Kenya, we have really good infrastructure. When I was going across the country implementing some of the projects, I could meet facilities in places, a very good facility in the middle of nowhere.
That you could never have imagined.
Yeah, that I could never have imagined.
The road to Singapore.
Yeah, the road to Singapore. Yeah. And I strongly believe that it takes now the unity, like now what we are seeing, coming together, brainstorming together, putting in the right policies, so that we also make sure that our youth are not only exposed, but we will also get value for what we are going to do. Because what has been happening previously is just a lot of, I wouldn't call it a brain drain, I wouldn't call it exploitation, but we've not really gotten value for what we have done, whether it comes to the jobs, whether it comes to the labors that we're exporting. We need now to see that value transition into something tangible locally. Yeah.
And I know the conversation around the Vision 20, beyond Vision 2030 now, an important aspect that you have brought in, major conversation and a major aspect of that has been jobs, and especially for the youth. So a lot of public-private partnerships coming up, including co-funded programs between the private sector and the government development partners. To see that we enhance the job creation for the youth. And an example is, for instance, the Next Gen project that is implemented by KEPSA, bringing the private sector on board to provide employment, but funded through UNDP. But also co-funded by the government, which is because the initiative is from the government. But you see, throughout that process, beyond providing, because the applications are overwhelming. So even as the private sector, from an employer's side, the employer will sieve through the application of AI with the system that UNDP is using, is to help match what the employers have brought as the JDs, the job descriptions, with the what the interns are qualified for. Yeah. So that AI intersection there is quite impressive. But beyond that, at the point where now the employers are interacting with the interns directly, it has been very key to now be able to interact and see, does this person, actually bring the expertise that the system, matched with them. And beyond that, you mentioned even at the export level where we are exporting talent, we need to, upskill that. So we're importing more qualifications, and that, in return brings in more benefits for them, more income for them, more growth for them. But now from a youth who is listening to you from Nakuru right now, and they're wondering, I'm looking for a job. I don't know where to start. Samuel here is from my county. Lishlab is from my county. Perhaps they have not interacted with it. How do they get to know how to benefit from you, and how can that help them get access to those opportunities that they've been looking for from a county hub perspective?
Yeah, thank you for that. So Lisha Labs, we've focused on a lot of partnerships. That includes even partnering with the Nakuru County government, whereby we're able to roll out some of these skillings through the county hubs, which are closer to the people. So Nakuru County has over 14 hubs. distributed in the different constituencies and all that. So basically, we have multiple layers in which we're able to support these youth. We've worked with various partners, like the British Council last year, where we skilled over 1,000 youths to be able to see how they can leverage on technology and AI to make their lives better, whether it's on a job, on the kind of work that they're doing, to help them in managing different aspects of their life. What we're also able to do is this is able also to plug them in to the process in which they can be able to get into the gig economy. So basically, there's a lot of resources online. One of our key partners was the ICTA, ICT Authority. They have a platform where people can learn some of these skills, and they were one of our key partners. We also had partners like Google, Microsoft, who have free online courses around AI, which youths can just access and be able to learn at their own pace. Once that is done, there are several opportunities that are available online. So some of the youths can visit our hub or can reach out to us online, and we're able to cascade some of these opportunities down to them. We also have very many other partners that we work with, who we're able to recommend some of these youths to them, and they can be able to be plugged into the opportunities. And basically what we've seen is there's quite a number of opportunities online. Once they're able to get the skilling, some of them can be freelancers, some of them can already offer their services to other companies, and even what we're really pushing for is also looking at innovation from a local perspective. So from the skills that youth get, can they go within their community and offer it to whether it's the businesses that are around, whether it's individuals, I can help you do X, Y, Z. So we also want to see innovation cascade to a very small level all the way from the community.
And to provide solutions and at the context of the communities. I love also that through KEPSA, you're looking at AI with specific sectors. Yeah, so like I think it's like 2 months ago, there was some trainings offered, whether it's AI for marketing, AI for HR, AI for the different sectors, and because I think there's this understanding that you have to be in IT for you to use AI. But I'm wondering from an education perspective, and especially in our tertiary institutions, all the way actually from the primary level, what are some of the changes that you would want perhaps to start seeing in immediate changes that would help incorporate AI in the education system as early as possible, so that we are not introducing it at the, you're already out of school. So unless you did IT, or perhaps even you can do IT and not necessarily, incorporate AI into this, so that we're not introducing AI at the point where the youths are leaving school and seeking jobs, or they are already at job markets. Do you see a need to actually have this conversation, but also not just the conversation, but also incorporate the learning models of AI within our education system, and at what level?
Yeah. So that's a very interesting question. It's a discussion that I always bring up to all our forums, whereby we are pushing to be a tech-savvy country. But if you look at our education sector, how many schools have a computer lab? How many schools have even a technology program that is running? So you'd find that very few institutions have invested in any form of technology training. So we would want to see, can the government create a policy on how technology will penetrate to the lowest level of education? We're looking at the primary schools, the secondary schools, and also our curriculums in general, because what you're seeing with the shift in AI, there's a very big change that even the people in the education sector are finding it very hard to compete with. There's this conversation that young people are asking me, why would I need to learn how to be a software developer when cloud can do it for me in minutes. So what happens when these youths are asking such questions? It means that we need to be able to create reforms that will show them this is how technology will help you, but you also need to have the basic knowledge and the understanding, because sometimes it might it might hallucinate, it might do the wrong thing. But of course, AI is becoming better and better. But we also need to retain that human aspect across the value chain. So we would want to see reforms, also a lot of collaboration within both the private and the public sector. We've been trying to engage a partner called One World UV. One World is a company that has been doing the tech programs globally across different continents. And basically, they have a program that runs from tech, financial awareness, and what we call global competency, being able to interact with people from different regions. So we are trying to bring this program to Kenya and Africa so that it can be cascaded. Their focus has been the K-12 category. So how can we work together to bring it to all our K-12 in Kenya? So that's the primary to secondary, and then work with other partners to see what can be done on the university level.
Okay.
But these are conversations that need to be had. And even from the university perspective, can lecturers sit down with students and talk about the AI? Because I know it is bringing quite a big problem when it comes to matters plagiarism and the rest. But it's only because we are not having these discussions.
Hapo kwa hallucinations, even the lady on Google Maps can get you lost sometimes. So
that's true.
The aspect of human interaction still remains very important. And you mentioned something critical on the public-private partnerships, equally from a policy level, perhaps a part beyond bringing that the strategies for ensuring that we have this incorporated in our education system, not just at the private school level, because a lot of these initiatives might find them at the private school level, but because that is private, so they're able to invest in that level of technology, that level of even bringing in a third-party partner to offer it as an option to the students at a paid cost. But at the primary level, you have already insisted on the importance of making sure that we have this incorporated at a national level. That means we have to partner closely with the government, and at a policy level, perhaps do we already have something that we can ride on, or will this have to be a new introduction into policy discussions, from the government and the private sector, and what role can each play, public and private sector, to support a policy environment that then helps us to build an AI ecosystem that does not leave anyone behind, whether it's the students, the young girl in school, or the young boy in Dadaab, or the youth in Nakuru, the youth in Kakuma, or the Mama Mboga in whichever county they're operating from.
Yeah. In terms of the policies, there's quite a number of policies that have been passed on different levels. And I think the biggest problem that we have is not even putting in the policies, because we've had a lot of strong partners who've come in to help in even supporting the processes. But the biggest issue we have is in the implementation side. So we have all these policies and frameworks in place. But if you look online, you'll see a lot. Even recently, there's a new policy that was passed with the Ministry of ICT. But now the implementation is where we fall a bit short, because government alone cannot implement, private sector alone cannot implement, and our development partners alone cannot implement. So it takes having a lot of intentional dialogues and bringing all these stakeholders together and getting these commitments to be able to now plan and even have proper working groups that will oversee the implementation of the policies. So I believe that Kenya has the right policies, but we now need the right implementation structures.
Where do you see us within the Vision 2060 now, right? So we are working towards Vision 2060. Tukifika Singapore, unataka unatuona tukiwa wapi in terms of AI as a country?
As a country, I'll just give a simple example. Last week, I just came from a business benchmarking trip from China. And for a very long time, I know many people have a different perspective of China. And when I went there, it was really breathtaking. They have implemented technology and AI to a level that I have never seen anywhere else. And you realize that just discussing with them and just trying to know, how did you get here? So, of course, it takes a lot of discipline and being consistent with what we promise ourselves to do. So if we promise ourselves that we are going to, for example, digitize the education sector, how intentional are we about that? And how soon can we implement that small milestone? And then what you're looking at is the government is very strong in supporting. They have literally AI working in every part of their sector, whether it's the payment sector, the transport sector. It's integrated because now the government policy has enabled AI to be integrated into all these different aspects in a way that the government works very closely with the private sector. So even when the private sector has problems in creating solutions, there are hubs which the government supports in creating solutions, and then you go and roll it out. But one of the most important things I saw, they are an open society. So meaning you will not see a lot of patents. You'll not see that in China because they believe in a lot of information sharing. And that is what will propel us. So if we keep our promises to ourselves as a nation, as individuals, as organizations, if we put that milestone and we promise ourselves to attain it, I really believe Vision 2060 can come sooner based on the intentionality that we have, all the way from our government, our institutions, to us as individuals. So I really believe that Vision 2060 is very possible. And if we continue with the kind of partnerships that I'm seeing right now happening with the likes of the KEPSA, we've seen the ministry, we've seen different projects that are coming on board and helping all these young people, I really believe we can bring the goal closer to home.
Sooner than we think.
Yeah, sooner than we think.
But let's be honest, right now, everyone is going back to asking at what cost. Yeah. Kwa mfuko yangu, at what cost? You approach an organization to, even in within the private sector, to integrate technology at the AI level. The first question is, at what cost? What will it cost? You know, inaitangwa, the cost versus the benefit, the value that they get. So now I'm even imagining the mama mboga, the boda rider, the micro SME, the youth who is now wondering, yes, I need to get this at what cost? And you've gladly mentioned that some of those offerings that you have are free of cost. So maybe to just also help break down that cost element of access to AI and technology especially at the local hubs, at the county hubs.
So at what costs? I'll not lie. AI is very expensive. AI is expensive, whether it comes to learning, whether it comes to the software themselves, the tools and all that. But I'll say number one pillar to that, and the most key pillar, is partnerships. All the trainings that we implement, we always work through partners, and we always try and look at to what level can we make this as affordable as we can. A very simple example is last year we were running an online training program to help bring in now the different groups, the Mama Mboga and the rest. We looked at what would be the main factor that could affect these people not joining the training program, and yet it's free. So we had partners like Google, but we looked at Safaricom being one of the biggest internet service providers, and we approached them and we told them, we have this training we're running. Could you give us a subsidized bundle for people to use it during our training session? And Safaricom gladly helped us. So
That's
thank you very
nice.
much, Safaricom. And we had a lot of youth joining. So one, it takes a lot of collaboration to be able to see which partners can fill which gap.
Yeah.
And then now the gap that is left would make it either very, the cost very insignificant or maybe no cost at all. But if we now focus on which partners can come on board, they can really help. You'll also realize that we have all these foundations, we have all these people who are there willing to help. How do we organize all these institutions to be able to help in a more streamlined manner? The other aspect is, this is the reason why we need to push in a lot of local innovation.
Yeah.
A reason being, if you look at all the AI tools we are using, all of them are foreign owned. Yeah. So it's very expensive for us to subscribe to them. But if we have our own local solutions that our youths have created, that have been created here locally and are costed here locally, you're looking if you could pay ChatGPT in Kenyan shillings.
Do we have some examples of any?
Last year, we launched one of the solutions, a smaller chatbot called Simbai. I know also there is quite a number of institutions that are trying to do the same. The biggest challenge still remains is it's still quite expensive to enter into that market. We had a partner from within Africa, I'll not mention, who was able to gladly give us what we call test as a service.
Okay.
We were able to use their servers to load quite a lot of data, train different kind of models on different angles. But if it were not for that kind of support, we couldn't have made it because the cost is very expensive. So if our government and our private sector and all our partners are able to see what are the costs that they can help, can we have community centers for innovation, which maybe are focused on specific models? Like if you look at Dedan Kimathi Institute, they got the donation for the circuit boards and making all these things. And youths who want to innovate something, they know now they can go and make a prototype and finish a whole component just from there. So can we have more of such centers where we could foster innovation? Could we get our partners? I know we have Google, Microsoft here in Kenya. They are offering computing credits to youth startups and organizations. Those are some of the avenues that can help us bring this technology closer to home and to be able to help more people to create these solutions.
Do we have banks that are actually supporting initiatives that are AI focused, even if it's at sandboxing level?
Yeah. Yes, we do have banks that are supporting, but the adoption has been a bit slow. Because if you look at the race that is happening there, it's moving quite fast. But on our side, there's slow adoption. I know there's a Beta Lab, which was started, which is one of the hubs to help in fintech, along those lines. But still, there are very few, very, very few banks. And it's not the banks themselves, it's their foundation arm. But very few financial institutions, I say, are looking at how they can create these sandboxes. The ones that they are creating are more or less covering their niche. So like if it's the insurance companies, they are focused on companies or startups that are going to do something in the insurance sector. So what happens to all these other sectors? What happens to agri-tech? What happens to health tech and all the others? So we would like to see a scenario where either these banks could support more centers or more initiatives, or can we be able to see them promoting it on a slightly higher level? Because you're seeing AI is rapidly getting into each and every sector that we have. And right now there's a very big also race towards who is going to make AI for the banking sector. So the big question remains: will our softwares be made here at home, or will we have a company from somewhere
coming
in
to
the
make
world,
them and then selling them
coming to
us?
sell it to the banks?
Yeah.
I was just having a discussion with some of the people here in Nairobi, and I was just benchmarking on the cost of the softwares that most of these institutions are using. You'd find that most of the foreign softwares, they're not paying less than 100,000 a month, and that's on the lower side. Those are the minimal functionalities when it comes to these enabled softwares. If that was a Kenyan product, would it really cost the
That
same?
much.
Yeah. So we would promote our market more locally. So we would call on the banks and the financial partners to see how they can enable this and become stronger. I know UN is also, there's also a product they've launched with the Cooperative Bank through another partner. So I won't put the names out there, but basically a small token to be able to help developers create solutions locally. And these are some of the initiatives that you'd want to see more of.
Okay, so buy Kenya, build Kenya is not just in manufacturing.
Yes.
It's not just about the outfits that we wear. I think this conversation is going now to what Samuel has also introduced. We need to buy Kenya, build Kenya within the AI sector, the technology as well, and support those local initiatives that are giving us local solutions that would then make them more accessible and affordable to every Kenyan. In the last conversation, my guest was discussing HR and AI, and we responded to the question of employees and Kenyans feeling, not just Kenyans, actually, I think it's employees across the world, feeling or fearing that they will be replaced by AI. And we concluded that it's not the AI that is going to replace your skills. It's the employees or the people with AI that are going to replace those without AI. So I don't want to discuss that again. Rather, I want to bring in another component that I would want you to help me address. At the job application level, at the hiring level, at the interview level, do we need, perhaps from an employee perspective, start looking at AI as one of the qualifications that, you see the way you put job description and qualifications? Do we need to start actually looking at whether that, wanasemanga, if you, let's say you speak an extra language is an added advantage. So if you have AI skills, should be an extra added advantage?
Yes, it should. I totally agree on that. And what was said is completely true, that AI is not coming to replace us. It's coming to complement us. It's coming to complement the kind of work that we're doing. We've been doing a lot of, what you'll see AI coming too fast is a lot of the repetitive jobs that are being done. But I'm looking at it from the angle where it will take out the repetitive jobs so that you can focus on more productive jobs that you can be able to grow more skills in. So I totally agree that AI should be part of the job description. Reason being, someone who is able to leverage on these tools will have a higher productivity as compared to someone who will not be using any of the AI tools. The other thing is we will only need to see how we can limit it, even within the organizations. What are the areas that we can implement AI and what are the areas that we should not engage with AI? Because then where do we draw the line? That's also a factor when it comes to that. So we should not be over dependent on AI, but we should just have that balance even within the organization, whereby let's adopt AI also on an organization level. We've actually helped quite a number of organizations adopt AI into their work culture, and we've seen the productivity skyrocket all the way from their communication tools, their reporting, etc. But also have that balance so that you do not overuse AI and become over dependent on it.
And that brings me to also the issue of ethical AI, and how that looks like for organizations, for individuals, but also for us as a country as we transition to that stage when, a few of the companies, for instance, have already started commercializing AI or using AI as a commercial model. Some are still at the entry level. But if we don't regulate, we are likely to have a problem in the future. And you have rightfully said that we need to regulate. So even as you help organizations, adopt AI models, adopt AI tools, do you also have the aspect of helping them come up with AI policies for organizations, like at the organizational level, not at the national level, that will then help with the ethical AI aspect of, regulating the tools, regulating the people as well in using those tools?
Yeah. So for us, our approach was working with partners. We have an international partner whose main focus is just ethical AI.
Okay.
And basically, we borrow a lot of frameworks from them. And even when we have clients who want to adopt, we're able to get like a special recommendation on inputting the right policies for these organizations. But that alone is not enough. We need to also see it from a bigger perspective, whether it's government putting in the right policies. It's like a catch-22, whereby if you regulate AI, then too fast, you'll prevent your ecosystem from adopting. And then if you adopt it too slow, then you'll find that a lot of unethical AI is being done in the background. So this calls for a lot of collaboration, both with the public and private sector, to ensure that we are rolling it out almost to a similar pace in what is going to the market. Can we even see maybe an arm that will only be focusing on AI and helping in matters AI? Because that is how fast it is moving. We would not want to see a scenario where we've been left behind and left at the mercies of the companies that own all these AI solutions. So I know there's a global race to regulate AI, but also there's a fine line between the level of innovation and what you've seen right now, even the big AI companies with the likes of Anthropic, with their new mythos, you see AI going rogue in different scenarios. And the question is, they're now coming to the realization of we need to regulate. Even themselves are saying we need to regulate. So for us who are not yet there, can we start it as soon as we can? Yes.
Okay. And hear us, because the things that we are saying today will not too far away from now become a reality. Start training, start getting knowledgeable about the different AI tools that can help you in your line of work, in your line of business, whether you're an SME, a large business, or you're a youth, a job seeker, or at whatever level that you're in. Try and get information and, start skilling yourself, start looking for, opportunities like with Lish Lab. To familiarize yourself with AI tools, because before you know it, it will be a requirement on your CV, and the faster you get ahead, the better opportunities that you have. But as you come to the end of this conversation, Samuel, I'm also wondering, like, if for someone who's listening to us today and they're wondering how to start, what is the first step they need to take for them to get into this race and for them not to be left behind, what would that be?
What would that be is looking for any available materials, mainly from the main, I'd recommend to start with maybe the main partners that we have. A very good example is Microsoft have their own AI courses. Gemini through Google have their own AI certification courses. You're also looking at partners like ILO through their arms like ITC, International Training Center. They have a lot of free courses that people can plug in through. So that is a good point to start from. After that, look at what are the practical applications of AI in your life and start engaging AI from that level. So what are you doing? How can it help you in your business? You can even ask AI, I'm doing, or this is what I'm doing. how can you help me? And it
I
will
wish
give you a
they
list.
knew. I wish they knew what they can. I wish we all knew what we
Yeah.
can actually do with it, and the benefits that we get to pick from there.
That's true. I've seen AI being a part of my life in a way that you even end up giving it your own name as a friend.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that is the level of interaction that we have. But it's also good for us to have that just balance between how much we use AI. I still always consult a lot of experts, even despite using AI in the different fields. But it acts as a form of opinion or a form of just research or a tool that you're using. We're just looking at still as a tool within our day-to-day lives. So it's very easy for people to plug into AI. I'd also say that there's a lot of organizations that are now offering, even to the grassroots in the different regions. So if you enter online and maybe look at the nearest organization doing a form of training or a form of awareness, that one is something you can plug in. There's also a lot of online materials that are available, whether it's on YouTube, whether it's on Google search, which we can be able to also plug into.
Juicy, I saw someone say, I told Chat, like telling the ex,
Yeah.
I told Chat GPT about my ex. So I don't know, what is the weirdest interaction that you have ever had with your AI tools at a personal level?
The weirdest interaction I've had with my AI tool. Okay, the weirdest interaction that I had with my AI tool is there is a time that I was doing I'd really worked for quite a long hours, and the weirdest interaction I had is I had done so much work. I think because I was so tired, I started inputting different things. Then my AI just told me, I think you're tired. You need to go and rest.
Oh, yeah?
Or you need to take a break. So I was like, what? Why is AI
Yeah, they
telling me
can
to take a
tell,
break?
yeah.
So we are starting to see a scenario where AI is starting to become more intelligent. Even being able to, despite not knowing emotions and all these things, recognize patterns in a much deeper way. So that was the most interesting interaction that I had. Yeah.
I think the conversation around AI is not going to end anytime soon. In any case, we are just getting started, and so expect quite a lot more guests on this podcast to be speaking on AI on so many different levels, on so many different sectors. But today we are super thankful to you, Samuel, for coming on board and helping us demystify. It's an amazing job that you're doing on the ground, making sure that this conversation, the skilling, the information, the partnerships at the local level, at the hubs level, are happening to benefit the young people, the job seekers, the SMEs, the micro, and even the larger institutions at the private sector level, and as well as informing policy at the government level through the different interactions that you have at public-private partnership engagement. So keep on doing what you're doing, keep on changing lives. And if you have been a beneficiary of either KEPSA or Leash Labs, AI Labs, directly in Nakuru or in any other county, whether in Kakuma or Dadaab, please share your experiences with us. We would love to hear your feedback. And I'm sure Samuel and the Leash Lab teams will be very also honored to hear your feedback and testimonial. Thank you for staying with us all the way from when we started up to this part. Earlier on, when we were starting, before we started recording, Samuel was asking a few things about me. Do you still have anything that you would want to hear about this podcast, about the work that we do, about myself? Happy to answer before I close.
Okay. I think the question that I would ask from you is, what is the main goal that you would like to see this podcast achieve?
I think the main goal and the purpose as to why it started in the first place was to provide a platform for conversations that will accommodate everyone, from the guests, but also from the audience. So whether we are bringing in high-level experts, CEOs, founders of companies, policy makers that have so much influence in this country, then there are audiences at that level that find those conversations and those insights helpful. But whether it's also a mamamboga, whether it's also a youth, whether it's also someone in the village or someone in Dadaab, they still can find insightful conversations on the same podcast at different levels. Guests who come and share their experiences, but all towards creating a working environment for businesses to thrive. So that is the goal. That is what I want to see achieve. And that is why I'm always so excited to host each one of you here and to learn a lot. I become a student of this podcast even before it reaches the audience.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. Super. Thanks, Samuel. I always get the tricky ones, the questions, but I'm happy that I'm able to answer. Thank you for being with us. Asante sana to KEPSA, Kenya AI Skilling Alliance, Microsoft, ILO, and KEPSA is a member of the KEPSA Alliance as well, together with all the other partners. Thank you to your Lish Labs and for yourself for joining us, but most importantly to you, wherever you're watching us from. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Stay tuned to more conversations, and we hope that you always share your feedback, engage with us on our social media pages, because without you, we cannot exist. It has been my honor to host you on this episode on the Youth and Jobs segment. And until next time, keep safe and sane.
Brought to you by CH Studios, creating content that connects.